Look at your phone. You're streaming this video over Wi-Fi right now. The router is probably in another room behind a thick concrete wall. You probably think you know how it works. You think Wi-Fi is just some invisible internet signal that magically squeezes through the microscopic cracks in the wood and brick like water leaking through a sponge. Wrong. Completely, fundamentally wrong. The walls in your house do not have holes for the internet to pass through. The truth is darker than you think. What's actually happening is so strange, so contrary to your everyday common sense, that your brain is going to fight me every step of the way. Because to understand Wi-Fi, you have to realize that those solid walls aren't actually solid at all. Let me show you what I mean. Look around you. Every time you load a web page or stream a movie, you are downloading information from a router that is completely blocked from your site. There might be a wooden door, 2 layers of drywall, and a brick chimney between you and that little plastic box. Your common sense tells you that the signal is just pushing its way through the physical gaps in the plaster. But to figure out how it really travels, we have to expose the biggest lie you've ever been told about the internet. You think Wi-Fi is computer data. It is not. Wi-Fi is light. It is exactly the same physical phenomenon as the light coming from your desk lamp, or the red glow of a campfire, or the X-rays at the dentist. The only difference is the distance between the peaks of the waves. The wavelength. Visible light has tiny microscopic waves, but if you stretch that wave out and stretch it further until it is about 5 inches long, you get a microwave. That is what Wi-Fi is. Stop and think about that for a second. Your router is not a magic data machine. It is just a light bulb flashing millions of times a second in a color your eyes cannot see. But if your router is just a light bulb, why does its light go straight through solid concrete while a normal flashlight gets blocked by a thin piece of wood? To answer that, we have to shrink down, way down. Knock on your desk right now. Push your knuckles into the wood. It hurts. It feels completely solid, but zoom into the atomic level. What is that wood actually made of? Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and what are those atoms? A tiny dense speck of a nucleus surrounded by a massive swirling cloud of electrons. The desk, the wall, the ceiling, they are 99.9% empty space. If the wall is mostly empty space, why doesn't visible light go right through it? Because of what those electrons are doing. In the quantum world, electrons are incredibly picky eaters. They don't just absorb any energy that hits them, they operate on a strict mathematical currency. When the tiny high-energy wave of visible light from your flashlight crashes into the wall, it carries the exact right amount of energy that those electrons are hungry for. It fits their lock perfectly. The electrons absorb the light, the wave is destroyed, it turns into a tiny bit of heat, and the light stops dead. That is why the wall casts a shadow. That explains the flashlight. So what exactly happens when the massive 5-inch long Wi-Fi wave crashes into those exact same picky electrons? This is where the magic happens. The Wi-Fi wave washes over the atoms in the drywall. The electrons feel the wave, they check its energy level, and they realize it is completely wrong. It is far too low. It does not fit their quantum lock. So what do? Nothing. They completely, utterly ignore it. Because the rules of quantum mechanics forbid them from absorbing that specific frequency, the Wi-Fi wave simply sails through the empty space of the atoms as if they weren't even there. It passes through the solid wall the exact same way a ghost walks through a closed door. To a Wi-Fi signal, a brick wall is perfectly transparent glass. Now hold on. I can hear your brain fighting this. I can hear you saying, if Wi-Fi is a microwave that passes right through matter, why does the microwave oven in my kitchen heat up my food? That is a brilliant question. Your Wi-Fi router and your microwave oven operate on the exact same frequency, around 2.4 gigahertz. So why does one bounce through your house harmlessly while the other aggressively boils water? Because of water. The atoms in your soup are arranged into water molecules, which are lopsided. One end is slightly positive, the other is slightly negative. When that 2.4 gigahertz wave hits a water molecule, it matches its natural rhythm. It acts like an invisible hand, grabbing that lopsided molecule and physically flipping it back and forth billions of times a second. That violent flipping creates friction, and friction creates heat. But dry drywall, wood, brick, they don't have those free-floating water molecules. They don't have the right structure to be flipped. So the wave just sails right through, which leads us to a terrifying conclusion about your own body. Why do you see the wall as a solid, dark barrier? If it is completely transparent to a massive portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, why does it look so impenetrable to you? Because you are wearing a biological blindfold. Your eyes evolved over millions of years under the light of our specific sun, which pumps out visible light. So your biology only gave you sensors for that tiny, narrow slice of reality. You consider the wall to be solid only because your eyes are exclusively tuned to the exact frequency of light that the wall happens to eat. You are entirely blind to 99.9% of the universe. And if you could rip that blindfold off right now, if you could suddenly see the entire electromagnetic spectrum, your house would disappear. The solid walls would instantly vanish into ghostly, translucent shadows. You would see a blinding, chaotic ocean of energy. Wi-Fi signals from your router, cell phone waves from the tower down the street, radar from passing planes, radio broadcasts from 100 miles away, all of it crashing through your living room, blasting through your furniture and passing completely through your physical body at the speed of light. You consider the world to be solid. You consider it to be a quiet, enclosed space. But the next time you stream a video on your phone, remember, you are living in an infinite matrix of intersecting fields, separated only by the silent permission of quantum mechanics.